Hi everyone and welcome to my channel. On this channel I talk largely about mindset, mental health, self-development, that kind of thing. I also share things about my children and my family life and vlog type stuff. So if you like that kind of thing and if you enjoyed this video, then you should drop me a subscribe. You should do the little bell thing so you get notified when I'm going to do videos, and drop me a comment, give me a thumb, all of that kind of stuff, because that's the kind of thing when you do YouTube, you kind of need some feedback. Otherwise it's just me here on my own talking to a camera, which it kind of is, but it's fine. Anyway, this video we are going to talk about grief at Christmas and loss and sadness. And I have my Christmas tree up, and it's fairly early, I guess, for the tree. Is it? No, it's probably not. I put my tree up on the 1st of December though, so for some people that's triggering. This might be a triggering video because of the tree. If not, actually this is going to be, I'm going to put this out like later in December, so you're all going to be like, what are you talking about? It's Christmas time, Holly, we're fine. And yes, having the name Holly at Christmas, it does mean your name is everywhere. I was not born at Christmas, I was born in October, and I was named after a singer in a punk band. I'm not sure what the punk band was, I should probably know this, but my mum and dad were punks. That is the reason I'm called Holly. I will take my time at Christmas though. I will, yeah, it's fine. There's loads of stuff with hollies on. It's great. What a time to be alive. So this video, we're going to talk about grief and loss. Now, some of you may not know me, some of you may. For those of you that don't, a brief rundown as to why I can talk about this, I feel, with a bit of expertise, whatever that means. How can you be an expert? You can be. You can be an expert in your own life, can't you? But the reason I can talk about that is because over 2 years ago now, in July 2017, my husband Ross died of brain cancer. And it doesn't really get any easier saying that, if I'm honest. Like, it's still like, wow, okay, that happened. And I can say the words and I can detach from the words. Don't think that means I'm void of emotion or that I'm avoiding the sadness around that, because that's not true. And I have talked about this extensively. There is playlists on aftermath of grief, and also on what happened with my husband and that kind of thing. I'm not going to go into depth in that, so you can go and watch those playlists and find out more if you so wish and you want to hear a bit of backstory. But that is the reason that I feel that I can talk about this. Now, we have had 3 Christmases without my husband. So because he died in the July, the first Christmas came quite soon. And our first Christmas we stayed with my mother-in-law, so that's a very positive thing. We have done different things over the last few years, but last year I asked the girls about traditions and things like that and whether they wanted to do new things. The reality is, sadly, the girls won't really remember Christmas with Ross in any great depth. They'll remember bits, but it will be hard for them to really remember. And truthfully, me and Ross weren't traditional people, so we didn't have things that we did every year. There was different things every year. One year we had a real tree, one year we had a fake tree, one year we had no tree. We had like something that anyway, it wasn't really a tree. There was a year when I was pregnant when we had a balloon because I was ill, and I was in pantomime at the time. My background is that I'm an actress. So there has been no tradition, so I guess there was nothing for me or for the girls to feel like, oh, we didn't do that thing. But this year we're just going to create it's going to be very quiet and nice, and I'm actually looking forward to that stillness and not being, you know, the craziness of Christmas. I'm enjoying Christmas morning with the girls. I'm excited for Christmas Eve as well. So I think it's going to be nice, and that's my spin on it. Now, I'm aware that not everybody is like me, and some of you also be in earlier stages of grief. You may not, you may just find Christmas time the most difficult time with grief, because it's the time when those people that we miss would have been there and they'd have been involved in it, and that's hard. And there's people missing at the table and things like that. And so I thought it would be useful to talk about things to consider this year when you are grieving, when you have lost somebody, whatever stage that's at, because I think anytime there is a big event, a Christmas or a birthday or an anniversary, that's always gonna feel a bit sad at points. It doesn't have to feel sad the whole day, but it may feel sad for you. So I thought it would be useful for me to run down some thoughts, and I have written some stuff down because it's a list of things. I've said I would do 10 things. So the first thing is on my list that I have already written down and researched and thought about is to acknowledge that it's going to be different. It's going to be different. The person you love isn't there, so that's different. Now, there are pros and cons in that, as I've just said. It's not all a bad thing, it's just different. And you don't have to do everything the same. You can do if you wish, but you just have to acknowledge that it's not going to be exactly the same as it was, and things have changed because you've changed and life has changed, the world has changed, your person isn't here. Hard, but it's always hard, likely, because your person isn't there. So that's the first thing to consider. The next thing is to be honest with people around you about what it is that you need. Be honest. The people around you likely love you and care about you and want you to be okay. So be honest. If you want loads of people around you, say, look, I need you around me, get around me, be around me. If you do not want people around you, say, look, I love you, but I need space at Christmas and I don't want to be around you. But be clear with them. They're literally chomping at the bit, usually out on the edges of things, desperate to do something for you. So tell them and be honest, and don't feel any kind of guilt about what it is that you want. Just be real about it. Number 3 is, as I said, I think it's quite important, because it is different, to create new traditions. Now, that doesn't mean throwing out your old traditions, and if it gives you comfort to stick rigidly to whatever you've done before, then completely ignore what I'm saying. These are just ideas and thoughts. But we found it, I said to the girls, because I had read this and people had talked about it, and I don't know what I'm doing as a parent of bereaved children. I'm learning on the job. So I thought, well, I'll ask the girls whether they want to do something new now it's just us. And I said, so what new traditions would you like to create? And they said they would like to take a picture next to the Christmas tree every year, which we will do. And they said they'd like to, Christmas Eve, we have to write a Christmas story. I'm very, creative and like writing, and the girls are as well. So we will do that again this year. And I will ask them again. Oh, there's something floating around there. I will ask them again if they want to have a new tradition, whatever that is, and if they so wish, they can. But I think it's nice for us to do that, and especially if the person that you've lost, if the person you're grieving for was a person in your house, that's trickier, isn't it? Because they would have been there and you would probably have done stuff together. So if, like me, it's a person in your house, I think it's useful to acknowledge that difference and do something else, something different that feels new. And it doesn't have to be sad because they're not there. This is the new version of what's going on and what your reality is. Number 4 is, I think this is always the case, and people can challenge me on this, but I would think I will very strongly disagree. Talk about your loved ones. I talk about Ross all the time with the girls. It's not a taboo subject. It's not like, oh, should we not mention Dad in case we upset each other? That's not what's going to happen. That we've always spoken about him. I will constantly say throughout the day, who would have loved that? Dad would have said no to that. Dad would have hated that. I've just spilt my drink, for God's sake. As if. Why is it on the last few videos, right, I've tried to just like be natural as normal, and I've just spilt my coffee all over my notepad. Oh, like this notepad. Anyway, it's happened. So I would say, yeah, talk about your loved ones. Talk about them. Be honest. If your loved one hated Christmas, then say, God, they'd have hated this. Ross didn't particularly like Christmas, if I'm honest. That's probably unfair, because actually the last few Christmases with the girls he really did enjoy when they were at an age where they were chatting and they liked Christmas. He did enjoy that, and we had one a really nice Christmas where it was just us in the morning, and I know that he really enjoyed that. He didn't enjoy the big hoo-ha around Christmas. He didn't enjoy having to see people and do things, and he would often do the Christmas cooking because he was a really good cook, and he would do the cooking so he could just get out of the way and get out people's hair. So acknowledge that. If your person loved Christmas, then go Christmas crazy and talk about that and say, God, they absolutely loved it, and be honest, talk about them, laugh about them. And even if it's early doors for you, because I know it's harder, just talk about those people. They have a place in your life, and no matter where you're at, whether you've moved forward, whether you are feeling quite stuck right now, that conversation around them, especially for kids as well, is really, really important. Your children might not say anything if they think it's going to upset you, so open the door, be the person that says it. Number 5, this is a good one. This is important forever for all reasons, but remember that you can leave any event for any reason whenever you want. If you are somewhere and for whatever reason, especially with grief, you know, things can come up, emotions can bubble up, and sometimes you just feel overwhelmed or you need to cry and you don't really want to do it in front of everybody else. That's all right. You have permission to get up and leave for no reason. And actually, when you're grieving, especially in the early days, people will give you a let off for that, so you won't even have to feel like any kind of guilt. Something nice and refreshing in that you can just fuck off and leave without any warning or reason, and it's fine. It's okay, and it's needed sometimes. Sometimes it's too much, you just need to go, and that's okay. So don't feel guilty about that, because you need to do it sometimes. Number 6 is, and this is especially important if it's a person that was in your house, or a husband, a partner, a child, or whatever else, whoever else lived in your house. If you would send Christmas cards together, and the thought of not writing their name on a card hurts and you don't want to do it, don't do it. It's fine. Nobody expects you to do anything, and don't put pressure on yourself to do something because you think people will judge you otherwise, because actually they won't. Certainly not in grief, because actually the reality is we all get it. We all get that kind of loss. Even if we haven't felt it big, we know it's sad and we know it must be hard, and things like that are actually something I hadn't really considered. And receiving cards from people without a person's name, like without your partner's name, or without, you know, that's hard. Or some people do the whole like in heaven thing, and that, if that works for you, if that works for you, that's fine, but that made me feel weird. A couple of people did that in the first year. Like, I know they wanted to acknowledge Ross, but neither me or Ross were religious and don't believe in heaven, so it just made me go, yeah, that's weird. I very much believe in just reality right now, and that works for me. If it doesn't, if what I just said, if people write that and you love it, then that's great, but for me it didn't work. And so if the whole card thing feels weird, you're missing a person's name or whatever, then that's okay, and just don't do them. It's fine, and your people will care and love you for it. And you can send them a message, say, look, I'm not doing cards this year, not feeling up to it, but I love you all, have a lovely Christmas, and that's simply it. You can put a flipping Facebook message, I don't care. You don't have to do anything that you don't want to. Number 7, big one, always agree with this, but even more so at Christmas when you're grieving: cry, laugh, be angry. Whatever emotions come up for you, lean into them, be there, show up for them, let them happen. It's okay. I might cry this Christmas, probably will at some point. That's okay. I might feel frustrated, you know, especially if it's a partner and you are missing that extra pair of hands to do wrapping or to organize Christmas, to cook. It's frustrating, and sometimes you might feel angry about that, and it's okay. That anger's okay. You didn't choose what's happened, so it's okay to feel those things. Just let them be. Just let them be. And I think when you fight emotions, they're likely to hang around for longer. So just, if you feel it, stop what you're doing, have your cry, have your moment. Everyone else can get over it, or you can be on your own and have your cry, and reach out to people if you need help and you need a cuddle, and be around those people that help you and are nice to you. So just, yeah, honor your emotions. Don't try and be stoic because you think you have to, and especially around your kids as well. They need to know that you feel things as well. Like, I think sometimes my kids will freak out if I'm really upset, but we've got to a stage now, and I think I've said this before, I had to force emotion sometimes around the kids, and it's not because I wasn't feeling it, but as an adult we deal with things sometimes in different ways, and my way of dealing wasn't necessarily to cry, and isn't necessarily to cry most of the time. Not saying it doesn't come, because it does, but it's not generally my way of dealing with it day to day. So I worried that sometimes they would think that I wasn't sad when I was. So I sometimes used to force it so they could see, and it would be okay for them to cry as well. So they need to see it, it's okay, let it out. Number 8 is to be around people who energize you. Be around the people that make you feel good and full and happy, and try and spend less time with the energy vampires. And I know Christmas is a difficult time because you're kind of slightly forcibly put into situations with family members, which not everyone that in your family is going to be the positive people to be around. But as I said, get up and leave anytime you wish, and you don't have to be around anyone, and you can have Christmas on your own if you want, and whatever works for you. But just try to spend time with people that make you feel good and full. I mean, I would say that in general anyway, but just when you're dealing with a whole heap of stuff and it's Christmas time and that adds another layer onto it, then just be around those people. Number 9 is to accept help. And I have been the worst person for this over the years. I'm getting better at it. I'm getting better at not being stupidly independent, but it's still a challenge. So when I say this to you, I'm saying this to myself as well. Ask for help where you need it. If you need somebody to come and help, ask for it. They want to help. Honestly, they really want to help, and sometimes people feel really unable to help when you're grieving. They don't know when to step in, or they're treading on your toes, or they're saying the wrong thing. People are so scared. So if you say to someone, do you know what, I'd really love your help doing some wrapping this afternoon, should we have a drink and have a glass of wine and do the Christmas wrapping? People will literally jump at the chance to come and do that for you. So let them. If you want help doing your shopping, whatever it is, you want help decorating the tree, you don't do it on your own, then ask for help. People will help, honestly they will. And I think I feel good that people are good people. I believe in people, so let people help. Number 10 on my list is, and this is just something for you, like I don't know whether it necessarily is a thing for me. We do a lot of creative stuff in the house and drawing and stuff anyway, but for some of you out there, you might want to do something memorial type. Memorial makes it sound very like, I don't know, it makes it quite sad, doesn't it? For me, that word doesn't really work, but you know what I mean. If you want to do something that, you know, you want to have an acknowledgement of that person in a thing, or a doing something, you know, going somewhere. Some of you will have places that you visit that are special with that, you know, for that person, and maybe that feels good. So maybe you want to just acknowledge them not being there in a thing that you do, and that's okay as well. And maybe that's a new thing. Maybe you didn't do it last year, but they weren't here last year as well. Maybe that's something that you want to do this year. Maybe you want to acknowledge that in some way. But the biggest thing over Christmas and when you're grieving for someone is just to be really, really kind to yourself, and allow things to come up, and just do what you need to do. Do not sing to anybody else's hymn sheet. Do not do, is that the right phrase? Is that the right phrase I just said? Do not sing to any, what is it? Someone's gonna comment. That's not right, is it? What I'm saying is, don't do what everybody else is, don't do what you think you should be doing because everybody else is telling you to do it, or that you think other people need you to be. Just do what you need to do. And if there's ever a time in your life when you can do whatever the fuck you want, it's now. Hooray! You can actually have that as an excuse to push boundaries you've never pushed before, and say, for God's sake, I don't want to sit next to my cousin Tony at the dinner table. He's annoying. I don't want to sit next to him. I haven't got a cousin called Tony, so it's fine that I shouted that. But you can do whatever you want. I don't want to go and spend time there. I don't want to do this. I want to sit in my joggers and eat ice cream and watch Christmas films. That's what I want to do, and that's okay. Also, a quick acknowledgement that Christmas films will be full of death and sadness. That's good, isn't it? So if you have children, it's just worth a little check what is in it, just so you can prep. I mean, we don't avoid those kind of conversations, and we know every Disney film has a dead parent in it, which is nice. So we just acknowledge it, and now we're at a space where we can somewhat laugh about it because we're on top of it. But just be aware of it if you're new to this old grief game. All of those films will probably have something sad in it, because that's kind of the nature of a film. It has its ebb and flow of emotion. But yeah, just be there and be there. This is not advice, is it? Just, yeah, I'm sending you love anyway. I know it's not easy, and me just chatting about it makes it seem flippant and easy, and it's not, and I'm not saying that it is, so please don't think that. I get it on a deep soulful level, and there are days when it's easier and there's days when it's not, but acknowledge it all, be there for it, show up for it, laugh when you need to laugh, talk about the person with fondness, and cry when you need to, and just enjoy it the way that you are going to enjoy it, not the way society or friends or family tell you that you will. And I hope that you have a wonderful Christmas, and I'm sending you lots and lots of love. Peace.